Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Hello, dear brothers and sisters, respected viewers. Welcome to this show, which is inshallah going to talk about the great things, the great topics in Islam. And actually, we are going to go through different topics. And the topic that we are going to share with you this night, inshallah, is going to be a great one out of the other topics that you may have ever heard about. Here in Karbala, and being with the great guest that we have here in the studio, inshallah, we're going to start this topic. I'm not going to go through it, but you will get more familiar as long as the guest is going to talk about it, inshallah. So I would like to present Brother Ali, who is here with me in the studio, and inshallah, we will see what this speech is going to go through during our conversation. Hello, Brother Ali, and welcome to the studio.
In the name of God and with God's grace for being here, and Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for having me on the show, and I hope we can help everybody with our presentation.
Thank you so much. Brother, I would like to be so honest with you. At the beginning of this show, I'm so grateful and happy for having you here, and I'm sure that the respected viewers are also going to know why I'm so happy for having you here. Let's go through the topic and start the first glance of the topic by asking this question. That I know that you have written several books about the commander of faithful, Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. As you are a writer, okay, I'm not going to introduce you, but I would like to ask you why, as a writer, only as a writer, why have you chosen commander of faithful Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam to write about? Also, we see that there are lots of philosophers, lots of scientists, lots of people who are well known and famous out there, but why you have chosen commander of faithful to write about?
Well, first of all, I'm going to dissect your question so that we can answer it properly. It is true, I do write books. That makes me a writer. There are several different fields of writing. You could write a children's book, a cookbook, you can write a philosophical book. What got me into writing was not the economic aspect of writing, nor the a specific trade that I loved enough to write about, like cooking. I can't cook, so I can't write a cookbook. But what got me into writing was I loved the idea of learning to start. And learning gradually got me into thinking about metaphysical things like God. As I started learning about God, I got into a field of a huge, vast ocean of ideas that were connected to each other, yet so apart that you could not connect them together. So, as you know, there are religions that praise God. They all have the word God in them.
Yeah.
So they have that
They're all
common denominator. They have a God. But the path to this God, that may even be a separate God to another religion's God, is so vast that you can't put them in one fishbowl. So over time and over a lot of research and reading and academic background and whatnot, I came to the conclusion that there are a few people who have been able to contribute to history. I mean, when you look at a philosopher like Descartes, famous French philosopher, most people know by name, that's why I mentioned, or Aristotle, there are things that they did contribute. You cannot deny their contribution, regardless of their religious background or faith or anything. They did contribute something. However, their contribution was not insofar as you have Cartesians today who are following Descartes' path of life and mimicking his path of life for perfection. Yet, when you go into another selection of humans, you see that there is this following in their philosophy. Let's for a second step aside from the word religion and focus on, like you said, philosophy. A way of life. That is what the idea is.
Yeah, the philosophy means,
So what we're going to do is we're going to think, okay, Jesus was a philosopher. Another great person, huge following, correct? Okay. He's a philosopher. He had a way of life. He taught it. People live it. The reason why people are living his philosophy, aside from a religious perspective, is because he has a complete understanding of a way of life. Whereas, you know, Descartes did not come and do that. Descartes came and tried to kind of dissect a few ideas of philosophy and focus, just like a PhD student does. The PhD student does not discuss all issues in philosophy to get his doctorate or her doctorate.
Point and just talk about
he or she takes deeply. One point and says, I'm going to specialize in this.
And focus on it.
And I'm going to focus on it. And by the time I'm done, I'm probably going to be one of the top 10 people who know about this specific one atom within the whole construction.
Object, yeah.
Whereas a person who leads a way of life is saying, I know a little bit about everything, enough that I can take you through this path without really hurting you. That's the basis. Then you get a little higher and a little higher. Then comes a person who says, I will take you through this path in pure light.
Regardless to the
pure
other
light, nothing will happen. You will go in blessed and you will come out blessed. There are very few people who can do that historically. I don't know, maybe 2,000 years from now in the future, somebody will watch our show and laugh and say, hey, he didn't know about this person or that person. But for today, for now, I think, you know, the Prophet's nephew, Imam Ali, was one of those people, if not the best person, that you can learn not only from his speeches and sayings, which are all over. I mean, you see it everywhere. You know, it's thrown into pop culture as well today in different ways. But also from his life, his personal life, not even his, you know, public life, but even his personal life. When you pay attention to that, you realize that this person rarely has glimpses of error or problems or misunderstandings or miscommunication or anything that is in any way negative. So when you see that and you reach the conclusion of this person's life, and even in the concluding moments of his life, you know, there's, like I said with Jesus, there's similarities. There's similarities in their lifestyles and the way they went through some torture in their lives and everything else. You cannot find fault in a person who is as complete as we can understand.
So you would like to say that you chose Commander of Faithful, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, to be written about because you found him the most complete person ever, talking about the things and without any mistake, and you know, being so thorough and great in everything. How did you get this idea, and how could you find Commander of Faithful great in everything? Have you found a physics, for example, article of him, or a chemistry one, or something like that? Or no, there is something else that led you to find such a conclusion about him?
Well, first of all, as you say, the fact, in the books, as you know, there are 4 books out there, and in all 4 books, there is mention or influence of him.
Yeah.
The idea was never to write a book about him. So my actual idea was never to say, I'm going to write a book about this human being. No.
You mean that you didn't want to just make him completely understandable and knowable for the people?
No. I'm saying my idea for the book was I had different ideas for each book, but then he was so influential in every aspect that he became part of the writing.
Or maybe say the main part of the writing.
He took over, so to speak, right? So, and that's what happened essentially. My idea was never, let me start researching and let me start reading and let me start, you know, doing all this work on him and then do an exegé on this person. It wasn't like that. But in everything that I started writing, he kept propping up. From here, from everywhere I looked, he's there. You know, there are other people there too, but the other people were only there, like I told you, in the one spot.
So you need to prove what you're saying,
right? Because
you say that wherever I looked, I found Ali ibn Abi Talib there. But this is a great, you know, claim. This is a great thing to say.
Now we need to back it up.
Yeah, you need to talk about it. Because you know, just saying it and going away is not enough. So we need to go through all the things that you're talking about, inshallah.
So it is very difficult, I think, for anybody in the world to try to bring such a great person into a sentence of proof. But what I have done is I have used his sayings and his chapters and his writings into my own. So I've used quotations from him and kind of opened it up and explained it and paraphrased it a lot of times and whatnot. The way that I think I could possibly suggest that I could claim he is the most complete person that I've known to read about would be that I was able to, with other philosophers or other thinkers or other leaders, butt heads in certain areas and places. Whereas when I read more and learned more and was more advanced in studying Imam Ali, I couldn't find something that I could differentiate myself from or to cause myself to think twice about.
So indeed you have made a comparison between Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib and the other philosophers.
No, I've made a comparison even myself. When I read somebody, you know, to a traditional Shiite person, this may seem shocking. But when I read, I don't say this person is so and so. I have to read it with a closed, narrow eye. No,
without just taking care about the others.
No, no. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read it, and once I'm done reading, I'm going to turn around and
look other ideas.
Look up other ideas and even analyze it myself. I'm going to say, do I really believe in this? I mean, is this proper? But when I'm doing that with Imam Ali, there is no area where I was able to fight his way or his sayings or his talking, even though I tried, because it was going, I was almost getting upset because everything was so perfect that I couldn't find any problems to claim for myself. So I said, okay, you know what, at the end of the day, this is a perfect person.
So Brother Ali, you say that you have written this book about Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, who became the main part of the book,
yes,
as you said, not as a point of view of a Shia person, as a point of a researcher, as a point of view of a person who wants the truth.
Of course.
Regardless who has said the truth. So you search between all those philosophers, all those professors, all those great people who are so great out there. So you found that these speeches and the things and the ideas of Amir al-Mu'minin and the way of life of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam is better than the others. This is what you want to say.
As a researcher, not as a believer, because I believe personally that as a believer, faith is my own. Faith is mine. It's what I do at home. Whether I pray, I don't pray, whatever I do at home is my business. But when I come on the round table and I'm sitting with colleagues or friends or whoever, and it's like any other aspect. Look, when we both like football.
Yeah.
If I ask you who's the best football player, who do you think is the best football player?
I'm going, for example, to tell you it's Ronaldo, for example.
Ronaldo, right?
Yeah.
So I might say it's Messi. Now, we can have claims that are factual. How many Ballon d'Ors, how many FIFA awards, how many goals per season.
Yeah.
These are factual bases that we can't argue about. They are listed. They're historically present. Then there are other things. I might say, well, Messi, I don't know, is more family friendly, and you say no, Cristiano Ronaldo's more this way, that it's opinionated things that we like ourselves to see in the person that we follow. So religion is like that. Religion is opinion. So I believe in my religion that this is right. You may not, but we can argue about that all day.
Yeah.
But we cannot argue about fact.
So you have just brought the facts in your book.
Yes. So what I've done is I've said, okay, there's no point for another person. There are a million opinion books around the world. There's no point for another person to come here and say, I have a strong opinion about my faith and I'm willing to write it and broadcast it and fight for it and pull the sword on it. No. What I'm going to try and do, I figured, is I'm going to logically present the people to the world that I think we should start paying attention to worldwide. I mean, here in this environment, everybody knows Imam Ali. But there are environments that people don't know of him.
They don't know. They
and
have no idea.
I want people to know of him, not so that they can pray, No, because that is not a way of life. That is part of a religion. I want them to know of him so they can complete their life
All logically.
in all logic and in all formats, because
Great.
this is a person who can answer you in that way. So, you know, some people follow a Stoic movement and Stoicism and Marcus Aurelius and all of that, and the meditations. But you know what? This person lived it. This person has examples where he lived it. I mean, he was in a battle. He was almost going to kill somebody, and the person spat on him. He got angry. He raised his sword in anger to kill him.
Great.
Then he stopped.
So you've got your own examples of the life of Imam Ali alayhi salam. I think that we are going to go through them, inshallah, during the next episodes, inshallah. But as the final idea that I got from you, that you have searched between the different famous people along history, and you found the most, let's say, complete person and the personality that you could find throughout history. It was the commander of Faithful Imam Ali. So that logically, actually, we're talking. So you wrote about him. Let's have a short break, and then inshallah we continue the topic together. Okay, back to the speaking. Brother Ali, I came across the chapters in the fourth book that you have written, and I found different topics, different things in this book. One topic was so amazing. Actually, all of them were amazing and beautiful, but one of them I just wanted to talk about it. It was talking about the awareness of people. It was just named "Wise Too Late." People are asleep as long as they're alive. When they die, they wake up. And this is exactly the word, the note, the quotation of Imam Ali alayhi salam in Arabic, which says, "الناس نيام فإذا ماتوا انتبهوا." Why did you use and why did you choose, let's say, this topic, and what you have talked about this topic in your book?
So, I'll go straight into it. This chapter has been on my mind for a long time to write something about the wisdom of how to live life productively. And when I was reading the Imam's words, I came across this saying. And so I read about the saying and where he said it and why and all the aspects of it, which is always important. I notice a lot of people read the quotation. They don't read after it or before it, or they don't read the chapter that it's in or the paragraph even, or they don't know the context that it is in. And because of social media today, we get these
They only get an idea from the topic and they live it.
They get the saying, and if you're lucky, they get the author at the bottom so you know who said it, because most of the time they don't even tell you who said it, they just get the saying. And you just follow that and you don't even know why he said it or what's the context. Why did he say that, right? So I will let the viewers research. This is the reason why I didn't open up so much in the book about the histories and explaining everything else, because I said, if you're going to be lazy as a reader and just read what I've written and not understand everything, then you don't want to expand your horizons. But if you're going to read and you're going to see this person's name, Imam Ali, Imam Ali, Imam Ali, repeated so many times in the book, you have no clue who this person is. You're not going to say, oh, it's just some philosopher. You're going to go and research about
to find out who this person is.
So at this point, I've given the quote. I've given my relationship with the quote. But they can go and find out why the Imam said the quote. They can go invest into learning about the Imam. And that's important to do on your own time. Not to always be fed information, but to seek information. Now, this quote talks about basically, as you're, it's an ironic quote, because as you're awake and alive, you're awake, right? You're alive, you technically you're awake. And Imam Ali says, no.
People are asleep.
You're actually sleeping while you're awake. You're actually sleeping while you're alive.
It's kind of paradox,
Yeah, exactly. So when you die, you wake up. You think to yourself, okay, if I am asleep now, it means I'm in a static state. I'm not dynamic. I'm not doing anything productive. There's no positivity coming out of me. There's no negativity. At best, I'm in a static state.
Yeah, at
right?
the best state.
At best. So I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not, doing any good for anybody. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just static. I'm sleeping. Okay, perfect. Now you die. and all of a sudden you're aware. What is it that you're aware of according to Imam Ali when you die? You're aware of your existence, your being, yourself. And if you are aware after you die, it means you are in an afterlife. Because you cannot be in this life dead as alive, so you must be in another life alive as dead to us.
In this life, yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So if we analyze that, so then it's another life. So now, a lot of people watching are probably Muslims. How many of these people truly believe in an afterlife? You would care to say all Muslims believe in an afterlife. But I'm going to tell you, if all Muslims believe in an afterlife, would not all Muslims be toiling towards the afterlife? Because we believe that, right? I mean, think of it this way. If you have a project and you have somebody, you're building a car, and say a very resourceful company is going to buy this car from you for a set amount of
money. Yeah.
And you have a contract and you know that this company is wealthy enough, Apple, they're not going to bounce on their check or anything like that. You're going to put all your effort into finishing the car to present it for the purchase, correct?
To gain your money. Yeah.
Why? You already answered it, to get your money. You're already thinking ahead of me. You're like, money, you know, I'm going, right? Why? Because you believe. Now, assuming that you didn't know really if the company's going to pay you or not, and it's a side project.
Yeah.
You will work on it on the weekends.
Yeah.
You will work on it on your free time.
Or maybe you just forget about it because you're not sure about it.
Worst case, you forget about it.
Yeah.
But the best case is you're not going to put all your efforts into this, correct?
Yeah.
You're going to
only your free time you're going to
exactly
working about it.
Why? Because you're not sure. Now, if you get there one day and it's done and you present it and they actually pay you for it, well, perfect. And if they don't pay you for
maybe sometimes we regret why we didn't finish the project sooner so we can take the results sooner.
Exactly. And so now, in this case, the Imam says, well, those of us who wake up in death are the ones who didn't believe. Because like we said with the car, if we believed, we would have delivered the car the next day because we would have worked 24 hours on it. Correct?
Yeah.
But when we look in our own lives and we think to ourselves, where am I in my life? You know, where am I looking to be in my life? Where did I think I would be in my life today, spiritually? What is my relationship with God? Who am I? When you think of these questions, and you know you could have done better, because nobody else can tell you these things. Nobody's inside you to tell you these things. When you know that you are not living the best version of you, you know that you are not 100% then sure of the judgment day that you are supposed to believe in this book. And that saying, one part of it is telling you, hey, do you forget the religion? Do you forget us? Do you forget the way of life?
So you mean if someone becomes aware, or let's say wakes up before he dies, you know, as Imam Ali alayhi salam says, he will change his manner of life, his way of life towards the better things? Or you mean, I mean that will this kind of point of view affect on his life if he become aware of the day of judgment?
So I believe that any person, male or female, will wake up only if they are willing to wake up. You cannot force a person to awaken spiritually. A person has to accept it and has to believe it. It's a faith-based issue. So the Imam, having, you know, historically from all aspects, I mean, I'm not talking from a religious perspective again, I'm talking from all aspects. He was a very faithful spiritual person.
And I'm exactly asking you about the logic aspect of the
and
topic,
the Imam,
you know.
speaking of the Imam from a logical perspective for the world, not just for the Shia community, for the world, he was a very logical person. So when he's talking about this, he's saying to himself, okay, here we have a human dying, and here we have a human being asleep until death. because they didn't do anything for the afterlife that we know is coming, because we believe in that as people, right? Unless the person comes and tells you, well, you know what, I don't accept your quote because I don't believe in God or an afterlife or any of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly, that's my question.
So now I can answer that though, because the person who doesn't believe in God or an afterlife or anything like that, why does this person still care to be a good citizen, a good human?
Let me just give you another example. There are lots of people who have invented great things, but let's say that they didn't believe in God. Maybe they didn't believe in the hereafter. So are these people also asleep, sleeping, and when they die, then they are going to wake up? So they have presented something very great. You just mentioned at the beginning of the topic that when I'm asleep, I present nothing. I'm statically just so steady, and I'm not going to present something positive and nor negative. So, but those people have invented great things. I don't want to name exactly what kind of inventions, but there are lots of people who have invented great things in this world. People are benefiting from them, but they don't believe in God. So what is the contradiction? What is the connection between what Imam Ali says and this kind of life? Is there any connection or not?
Of course. So first of all, when the Imam says they wake up in death, the Imam is trying to say that everything that these people hurry towards or work towards or produced or were productive or even became billionaires in communities, country leaders or whatever it is, and they didn't believe in God. They have zero belief in God, right? But they reach these great levels in society that are at the top 1 percentile of humanity's achievements. When they die, how much does that matter?
For themselves?
No, for anybody. You explain to me. One of those great people has died now, right? They are, let's say, cremated. They're not even in a grave. They're cremated, they're burnt, there's nothing left. There's not even a body left in a grave. There's nothing left. They're in fire, done. What's left of this person?
Only the inventions, all the great things that he left over, you know.
So this person has contributed to society with the goodness that they have contributed, correct?
Yeah.
Where does that idea of a goodness come from?
Maybe thinking about the humanity, about the good
Why?
things to present something good
But
to the
why?
others. Maybe some people for the money, I don't know.
The money is not a good thing for humanity. I mean, you can't say you can't say I'm going to be economically well-to-do and wealthy.
But there's a kind of feeling inside anyone's heart that wants to help the others.
Exactly.
Maybe this is the idea.
So where does that feeling come from? It's an innate feeling, obviously, just like a child. A child is born.
He learns to help the others.
I'll give you this example. A child is born right now. The first thing from the west to the east, from the most advanced medical city to the least advanced medical city, the first thing the doctors or the person who's helping giving birth does is takes the child and puts it on the mother's chest or stomach, correct?
Yeah.
This is just something that we never think about. It just happens.
Yeah.
There's no medical study to say the best thing to do is to take the child. There's no study. Never mind a law, there's no study. But we naturally have been doing this for thousands of years. Why? Because that child needs milk.
Yeah.
And we innately, without understanding, and the only source of milk is in the breast of the mother.
Yeah.
So we have to somehow, that child cannot walk yet. We have to somehow put it there. When the child is there, it automatically searches and attaches and reaches the milk. These are innate things. We didn't teach the child to suckle on the breast. These are innate things, right? So the innate love that you're talking about right now is something that God instills in us. It is a godly feature, innate love. When you're asleep, you're exactly that person. You're creating, you're doing good, you're contributing to society, you're making amazing inventions, but you're so asleep here and here that you don't know why you're doing all these beautiful things.
You've got no idea about your inner...
you don't know you.
You don't know yourself. Yeah.
You don't know you. You know your surroundings very well. You just don't know you.
So this is the meaning of being asleep.
Yes.
All this.
Yes. It means that you could be the greatest surgeon who invented some way of, extending human life or anything else, best medicines, but you don't believe in God and you take a very separate path, it does not mean that it's contradicting Imam Ali, or it doesn't mean that it's contradicting the philosophy of God. It's just saying that you weren't able to reach.
Great.
Simple.
Thank you so much, Brother Ali, for this great topic and for this great conversation. And inshallah, in the next episode, we're going to go more through the the chapters that you have written in your book. Inshallah, just search them one after the others and talk about them and get more idea about who Ali is, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Which Ali? Because we're both Ali.
Yeah, you're both Ali, but we are talking about the commander of Faithful Imam Ali, exactly.
Exactly.
And inshallah, you as Ali is
a follower of Ali.
A follower of that great Ali,
Exactly.
inshallah. Dear brothers and sisters, respected viewers, thank you so much for tuning in, and inshallah, stay tuned for the next episode in which we are going to talk more about this great topic. Have a great night, and thanks so much for tuning in, and good night. Thank you.